It's 26th of November 2024. I haven't got my watch with me either, so it's charging at the moment. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit all over the place. I think it's fairly normal considering my current circumstances. I suppose I'm just gonna check in with myself and we'll see how we get on from there, see what happens. Excuse if you see any mess that's like in the corner or anything. I'm just gonna move this to the side a little, just rotate it. So just, you know, you don't see the mess as much. Your girl is still in the process of healing. Okay, I'm just gonna recenter myself because I'm feeling a little bit ooh. So I'm just bear with me one moment. Okay, so how am I doing? I am well. As well as you could be, I suppose, considering the circumstances. I don't really want to elaborate on it too much, but I have multiple external factors that's put me out of alignment. I think that's the best way to put it. So I've got multiple external factors that has put me out of alignment with myself. And I'm not gonna lie, it has been hard. It has been very, very difficult to manage through it. And no matter how much I say, you know, don't forget, make sure to give yourself grace and compassion throughout the process. It is hard. It is difficult, especially if you are going through a really challenging time in your life. It is going to be hard to give yourself the grace and compassion that you need, and it is going to be hard and it is difficult. That does not take away from your experience. However, being compassionate and loving yourself in the moments where it's so difficult for you to do that really helps you along the way. Nearly a week ago, so it's now Tuesday, Friday last week, my depression was bad, bro. Like, my depression was actually quite bad. I've never really experienced something like that before, because as opposed when I was previously depressed, I'd usually just stay in bed, and I've not really attempted to get myself out of bed. So I would just stay in bed for, you know, days at a time without actually doing anything, without washing myself, without washing my face, without eating or drinking or having much to eat or drink at all. Like, I neglect the basic necessities and I don't do much for myself. However, this time round, I noticed that it was really hard for me to get out of bed. I made a video diary. I'm not, at this point in time, I'm not too sure if I'm gonna if I've posted it already or not, or if I'm going to post that video or not. But just in case if I don't, that day was hard because that was the first time that I've tried or attempted to push myself to get myself out of bed, because I knew that staying in bed and doom scrolling on my phone would not do me any good. However, I knew that if I'd just brush my teeth and wash my face and just get myself out on a walk, I know that that would help my mental health. Excuse me. I know that that would help me greatly. No matter how difficult it would be, even if it doesn't make much of a difference, I know that it would make somewhat of a difference, right? And I think I woke up around like 8, 9, and then I said that to myself. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, this, and this today. I'm just gonna take it easy, but I'm just gonna do this. And I think it was around like 1, half 1 in the afternoon, and I clocked myself and realized that I'd been doom scrolling on my phone and I haven't actually gotten out of bed after making that plan for myself. And unless you've experienced it for yourself, it's actually very difficult to explain it in depth and explain the mental block, the mental and physical block that you have when you're in that depressive state. Because that day, I put my phone down after doom scrolling for hours, and I said to myself, okay, come on, mate, let's get up and let's just brush our teeth, let's go and wash our face, and we don't even have to shower, just do those two first, because thinking about too many tasks in my head overwhelmed me. So I was like, let's do one thing at a time first. Let's brush our teeth and wash our face, and then we'll see how we get on. Those are the two things. And I was literally laying in bed and I was like, I can't. Like I physically could not make that mind to body connection. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So if you see the bin behind me, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I'm just gonna just move that bin. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I knew that all I needed to do was just get up and out of bed. I just laid there in bed for I'd say a good half an hour, trying to get up, right? I couldn't even sit up in bed. And I was crying already because it was quite tearful because it was actually quite hard. I'm getting tearful again. But it was hard. It was so hard. For God knows why, right? It's just mentally I just could not even function. I couldn't get my body to move the way that I wanted it to move. And I just kind of just laid there, just staring and just saying to myself, come on, Meg, you've got this, come on. All you need to do is get up. You just need to just get up and just brush your teeth. I couldn't even do that. Oh gosh, bear with. I couldn't do that. And yeah, I just couldn't. And I managed to, sorry, I'm just gonna, I managed to call my friend. And so I called him on the phone and he was like, you know, you okay? You sound like you've been crying. And I just kind of just went silent and I couldn't get the words out of my mouth. And eventually I just explained the situation, like, you know, this is what I've been trying to do since this morning or for the past like however long, and I just could not get myself up. And he was like, okay. I broke down in tears, by the way, if you didn't imagine it already. I broke down in tears, like explaining the situation, and I was like so I was literally talking like that. And then he was like, okay, what do you need from me? And that really helped me, because although it was difficult, right, I'm not the kind of person, I'm a person that's independent, always independent, and I don't really ask for help. I try to just deal with things by myself, mostly because in the past I may have at some point relied on other people, or, you know, not necessarily dependent on other people, but I've asked for help from people before and they've either disappointed me or I've been dismissed or put to the side or whatever it is, right? And I've learned to not trust other people, but only just myself. I can't rely on other people because I know that da-da-da-da. So asking for help is so hard for me. Asking for help is such a challenge, but that is something that I've been trying to learn this past years especially, and I've been trying to learn to ask for help when I need help, right? And at that point I needed help, and thank God for my friend, bro, because honestly, like, I don't even think I would have managed to achieve as much as I did that day, because even though it might not seem much, I'm jumping stories. Let me just go back. So he was like, what do you need from me? And I said, I just need you to just encourage me and just talk me through it. Just talk me through it. And he made a kind of like a light-hearted situation out of it, because he was like, well, have you brushed your teeth? And I said, no. And he was like, well, your mouth probably pongs right now. And I said, it does. and he was like, right, okay, well, all you need to do is just get up. You don't even have to think about brushing your teeth right now. Just think about just getting up. Don't even give yourself time to think about it. Just do 1, 2, 3, get up. And I was like, right, okay, 1, 2, 3, up. And I couldn't. I was still there, and I was just like, I can't. And eventually he was like, right, FaceTime me. I'm gonna FaceTime you instead. So he FaceTimed me, and he was like, just get up. Just, you're never gonna think about anything else, but just think about just getting up for now. And my gosh, my nose is blocked. And it took some time. It took some time, a lot of prompting. It took a lot of encouraging from him for me to be able to actually get up. Even just the simple task of just sitting up in bed. I couldn't even sit up. And eventually, when I did manage to sit up, I just broke down. He managed to, like, you know, get me up, and because he couldn't come to me. So he was like, if I could, you know, if I could come to you, I would just pick you up and just shove that toothbrush in your mouth. But obviously I can't. So that's why he just encouraged me on the phone, on FaceTime. And yeah, so when I sat myself up, I just broke down. I literally just broke down in tears. Like I couldn't even get myself like stand up from bed. I couldn't. I just, as soon as I sat up, I just just started crying. So he gave me a minute to cry, just compose myself, and eventually, like, you know, he was like, just put me on the side in the bathroom just so I can see you actually brushing your teeth and washing your face, type of thing. And he talked me through the whole process, and that really, really helped. He helped a lot. And this is the thing that this is the thing that people don't talk about, people don't understand about mental health, is when they say that, oh, well, why don't you just do it? I would have done it if I could, bro. Like, for some reason, there is just, sometimes you just get that mental block that you just aren't able to complete a task, no matter how simple that task is. For me, as simple as sitting up from lying down, as simple as just sitting up from bed, I couldn't even do that. It took a lot of encouraging. And when I did, I broke down in tears. And some people don't understand that, and that's okay. I suppose the reason why I'm sharing my story is because I know how resilient I am, and I know that I'm comfortable in being vulnerable and sharing my story in order to raise awareness, in order to raise, I don't know, like, yeah, awareness in mental health, and encourage discussions, encourage conversations regarding mental health, because a lot of people really underestimate it. You know, it's just people just underestimate mental health. Anyways, I don't want to go too much into a tangent. So anyway, once I achieved that, brush my teeth, wash my face in my own time, because it took a lot of time to do that, you know, it helped with my friend's lightheartedness of the situation, and also just distracting my brain as well from thinking whatever's next, because he just kind of just carried on talking and just whatever. Excuse me. So I managed to get him back in my room, and I just kind of, like, you know, put my contacts on just so I could see, because your girl's blind. And I was like, okay, well, after this, I'm gonna go for a walk. So we spoke for a little bit, and after we got off the phone, I went back to bed. I went back to bed, not because I wanted to just wallow in it, no. I went back to bed because my body felt fatigued. My body felt so tired, probably because I used a lot of my brain power and a lot of my energy, a lot of my willpower to just get myself up out of bed and brush my teeth and wash my face. So I needed to just sleep it off. So I did. I slept, and I didn't. The thing is, right, it's also perspectives too, because you can look at it and you know, be critical about yourself and be like, oh, why did I go back to bed? Like, I shouldn't have gotten to bed and all this kind of stuff. I shouldn't have slept, or whatever, right? No, my body needed to rest because it required a lot of energy, a lot of willpower, a lot of mental capacity to just complete those basic tasks that I just completed, and I needed to nap. I needed to nap from that. So I napped for a few hours, and then when I woke up sometime in like late afternoon, in the evening, I woke up, I still felt low, I still felt depressed, but I had more of a willpower to get myself out of bed. So I got myself out of bed, and although it was difficult, I had to fight myself, and I had to push myself and be like, Meg, you know that it's not going to be good for you to just stay in bed and stay in the flat all day. Now that we've achieved, excuse me, now that we've gotten ourselves up, let's take ourselves out for a walk. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. And I know it's not the best time because it's cold and it's windy outside. But you know, Meg, that it's going to be good for you. And that was the grace and compassion that I gave myself, right? So I took myself out for a walk, and it did make me feel better. It made me feel a lot better. Not 100% better, but it made me feel better. And considering the fact that the day before and the whole day of that Friday, I didn't eat anything. Well, actually, I had like two snack. I tell you, like, I had 2 Snacker Jacks while I was on the phone to my friend. So I had something, 2 Snacker Jacks and some peanut butter. That's all I had to eat while I was on the phone to my friend. So, but I couldn't on that day. I didn't have the energy or the mental capacity to make myself something to eat. Not even like a sandwich or cook myself some ramen noodles. Like, none of that. Snacker Jacks were just easy because it was just there. All I needed to do was just have the Snacker Jacks and just put some peanut butter on top, and that's it. I didn't have to use a lot of my brain power to do anything. And when I came back from that walk, I managed to cook myself food. I managed to cook some rice. I managed to cook myself some tuna dish. So, you know, again, it wasn't the fact that I was cooking anything from scratch either, but that's an achievement, right? That's an achievement because I cooked myself some food, some rice, I cooked myself some tuna and seasoned it and all that kind of stuff too. So like, and I managed to eat myself somewhat of a substantial meal that evening. And that's an achievement. So what I did was I counted my achievements that day instead of looking at, oh my gosh, like, you know, this has been such a difficult, it has been a difficult day, by the way. It has been a difficult day. It has been a challenging day. I'm not going to take away from that experience. It has been difficult. However, I didn't want to focus too much of my I didn't want to focus too much of my my energy or my attention towards the negative thing, right? I wanted to focus on the achievements. What did I achieve that day? Excuse me. First and foremost, my achievement was that I had the strength to call my friend and ask for help. That's the first thing. Because if I hadn't had the strength and if I hadn't called my friend, I probably still would have stayed in bed. Secondly, I managed to brush my teeth and wash my face. I listened to my body and I napped when I needed to. I didn't beat myself up for napping. I didn't beat myself up for going back to bed. I managed to go out for a walk. I managed to clear my head, and I managed to cook food, prepare myself a meal, and I managed to eat a substantial meal that day. That's 8 achievements. So, following that, the day after was also difficult too, but it wasn't as difficult as it was the day before because I'd given myself enough grace and compassion, and I've counted my achievements and all the positives that's happened that day. That night, I'm not gonna lie, all of Saturday I pretty much slept through because that night, like Friday night, I slept for 12 and a half hours. And if you know me, I usually sleep between like 6 to 8 hours a day, and I don't usually sleep any longer than that. So 12 and a half hours is unusual for me, right? It's unusual for me. I spoke to my flatmate and I was like, whoa, that's unusual. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's crazy. And then that day, so I woke up, so what, I had a 12 and a half hours sleep. I went to sleep at like around 8 or something, and then I woke up around like 9 or something the next day. So yeah, I slept for quite some time. I was awake for a couple of hours. I can't even remember, that whole Saturday was just a blur, but I was awake for a couple of hours doing whatever. Maybe I brushed my teeth and whatnot. I don't even know if I ate that day, but I probably did. But after a couple of hours, after being awake for a couple of hours, I then went to sleep again. I napped again for a few hours. And then I woke up again for a couple of hours. And then slept again for a few hours. So my body needed to sleep. My body needed to rest that day. For God knows why. Maybe it was because of the amount of mental energy that I needed to use on the Friday. Maybe I was just trying to recover from that. Or it could be a combination of what, the me pushing myself on Friday to just get myself out for a walk, pushing myself to brush my teeth and call my friend, all this other stuff that takes mental energy, right? That uses your mental capacity. And it's also the fact that I've been dealing with a lot of stress externally, all these external factors that's causing me stress. I've been dealing with a lot of that, and I haven't just, maybe because I haven't given myself enough time to actually just recuperate and care for myself, because I've just been so busy with work and just, you know, non-stop with work, and after work I haven't really had much time for myself because I've got other things that I've got to tend to and whatnot, right? So I needed to sleep it off. I needed to sleep it off. And you know what? As I said, I slept pretty much for all of Saturday. And then the Sunday, I felt better. Like, I didn't feel 100% better, but I'd say I felt about 80%. If we say that on Friday I was operating on like 2% of my mental capacity, right? The Sunday, I'd probably say that I would be maybe like 75-80% of my mental capacity that I was able to kind of, still not 100%, but that's a huge fucking difference. That's a huge difference. That's a huge achievement. And that's because I allowed myself time to just recover. I gave myself grace and compassion for needing rest, requiring that rest. And I think a lot of the times that people just tend to forget to just listen to their bodies, right? And oftentimes they burn out or they develop some form of like disease or whatever it is, probably because you've been ignoring your body's signals and you just haven't listened to. And when you have a mental breakdown, or when you have a burnout episode, or whatever it is, right, when you're just incapacitated, that's usually your body's way of forcing you to rest because you've not listened to your body. It's like, I don't know if I've said this before, but it's like that saying where listen to your body's whispers before you have to listen to your body scream. And for me, my body's way of screaming is when I have a mental breakdown, or when I have a burnout, when it literally incapacitates me, when I'm debilitated and I'm unable to move from my bed, or I have these dark thoughts. Whichever way that kind of applies for me. I don't know. Mental health is, I'd say, it's can be unpredictable in terms of the symptoms, but then again, that comes into growing in your own self-awareness and actually knowing yourself and understanding what are your signs, what are the triggers, what are these things that are coming up for you to know what are your signs of deterioration. What are the signs when you are out of alignment within yourself? What does it look like when you're in alignment with yourself, and what does it look like when you're not in alignment with yourself? So I still have those, you know, I still have these external stresses that's happening in my life right now. And to be honest, my life is falling apart. I'm not gonna lie, like pretty much in every single aspect, at the very least, most aspects of my external reality is falling apart. And I suppose one can say that you can easily have a mental breakdown at this point, and I did last year or at the start of this year. But as I grew into my self-awareness and learning to give myself grace and give myself compassion and be patient with myself and learn and grew into my own self-awareness, I don't know if I've said that already, but through all of those, I've learned to manage it better. I've learned to handle it a lot better. And I'm very proud of myself, bro. Like, honestly, I mean, it still doesn't take away from the fact that everything around me is literally like crumbling apart. It still doesn't take away from that fact. But it's about taking it a day at a time. Again, going back to control your controllables, right? And the biggest thing for me is what's helping me through all of this, aside from giving myself the grace and compassion that I need and whatever, and listening to my needs and whatever it is that, listening to my needs and giving myself whatever it is that I need. Aside from that is my faith. My faith in knowing that everything happens for a reason. My faith in knowing that, oh, sorry, this Sainsbury's bag just grabbed my attention, and it says, "I'm strong and sturdy." And I bloody well am strong and sturdy, because it's in my faith of knowing that everything has to fall apart. Not because it has to be put back together, but in order for your new life to come in. I'm shedding old beliefs, old behaviors, old thought patterns. Everything that does not align with me anymore is being taken away from me by God, by the universe, by your higher self, whatever it is that you believe in. But again, for me, God, the universe, don't have to explain myself, is being taken away from me. And although that it's difficult, although that is challenging, and it is bloody hard to face it, it's uncomfortable, but I just have to be patient. Ride the wave, as I say. Ride the wave of your emotions. And again, as I said, sometimes us human beings, I suppose, can be a bit impatient. Sometimes we don't like feeling uncomfortable. Some of us don't like change, but it's about embracing that fact. Because what I'm hearing, I suppose, is, would you rather stay in the situation that you're in now, or would you rather face the uncomfortability to change, to accept a new life that's coming to you? So, with that in mind, as I said, I give myself grace, compassion. I know that God has my back. I know that the universe is always sending me signs and synchronicities. Actually, they've not left my side. My guides have not left my side. My angels have not left my side. God has not left my side. They've been supporting me throughout, giving me reassurance to say, Meg, I know it's hard, but it's okay. You're nearly there. You're nearly there. It's okay. I know it's hard, but just be patient. And despite the uncomfortability of the situation, despite the challenges and the difficulty of this situation that I'm facing, because I know that some of this external stuff is gonna be ongoing. I know it's not gonna be resolved overnight. I know it's not gonna be resolved in a month, because it's an ongoing process for at least one of them. I know that I'm fine. I know that I'll be fine. I know that I'm supported, and I'm not really thinking about the future. I leave that to God. I leave that in the universe's hands. I let go. I surrender. And actually, the art of letting go and the art of surrendering is much more powerful than you can ever think of. It's actually liberating. It's challenging. It's difficult. Of course it is difficult. Of course it's hard to let go. But it's so worth it. The freedom, the feeling of freedom that you get from it, I can taste it, bro. I'm not free yet, that's for sure, but I can taste it, and I know that I'm heading towards that direction. That's giving me a lot of reassurance, and that's the internal peace that I have. It's okay that I can be out of alignment sometimes because of whatever life throws at me. It's okay when, some situations, external factors or whatever it is, external stresses that comes at me and shakes me out of alignment. That's okay. It's a part of life. But the main thing is for you to be aware that you are out of alignment, and for you to then give yourself grace and compassion in the process, and to bring yourself back into alignment with yourself. It's just about, balancing the scales. And that's a Libran in me. So yeah, I think that's everything that needs to come out. I think that's everything that I need to say for today, I suppose. Give me one moment. Let me just sit with myself for a minute. Yeah, that's everything. Even though that there's no sunshine and there's dark clouds in your heart at the moment, just know that today is a new day, and God has you. God has your back. So keep smiling. Give yourself grace and compassion in the process. Be patient with yourself. And learn as well. Learn. It's a learning process, right? Because what I've learned as well is that during this process, I've displayed, you have to be aware enough for you to know that you are displaying avoidance behaviors. And that's for me, that's in regards to avoiding whatever it is that you need to face, right? Whatever shadow part of you that you need to face. What is this situation reflecting you? And sometimes we can have some avoidant tendencies, whether that be, for me, whether that be filling my time up with something. So whether that be spending a lot of time with my friends, or distracting myself with so many other things, or, you know, be so wrapped up in the magic of life that I don't really want to face and look down and see what's underneath the surface, because I want to stay up here. But no, it's okay to know that there's that level that you know you can elevate your vibration and just stay up in the, keep your head up in the clouds. But also it's just as equally important for you to look, I don't know why I said it like that. It's equally as important for you to look beneath the surface. Look at your reflection. Be curious about what this part of your life is teaching you. Don't be afraid. It's okay. Once you stay curious about this path, you will find that life will unfold in the most beautiful, challenging, abstract way that you could ever imagine. Yes, there's going to be hard times. Yes, there's going to be difficult times. Yes, there's going to be challenging times, but stick through with it. Know that you've been through other difficult situations before, and know that you've managed to pull yourself through. So you will pull through. Know that you will pull through. Have that trust within yourself. Know that you've got your back. Know that you will have the strength. Know that you have the resilience within you to manage your way of being, to manage and navigate your way through life. So yeah, that's everything. My room is still messy. My room is still messy, but as I said, I'm taking it a day at a time. And I'm being kind to myself during this process. So yeah. To close this up, Meg, I'm so proud of you. I am incredibly proud of you. And you are an amazing soul. You've got this. You know what's ahead. So just ride the wave, girl. Ride the wave. Yeah, that's everything. Okay, love you. Bye.